Hi, it's Jez here from Nigezza.co.uk. Thank you for joining me today. So today I'm going to do a bit of a scrap busting project for you. I shared these and the post I updated it on my Instagram account recently, where I used a load of scrap DSP that I had. All the DSP that I used are retired. And I created these tags using mostly current stamp sets, a couple of bits that are retired. Normally when I make journals and tags, I go very vintage, but I decided I wanted to try doing something a little bit brighter, and I've fancied doing a sewing themed one for a while, which is what I did this for. So I'm going to show you sort of the process, but I'm going to do Christmas and I'm going to use current stuff because I was on a blog hop with the theme of DSP, so I thought scrap busting is the way to go. So under here is lots and lots of little scraps. I've been making lots and lots of Christmas cards. So here's some scraps from Christmas DSP. I mean, I've got some Christmas DSP that I've kind of used whole sheets of or just sections of, so I don't have any scraps of them. But these are ones where I've got scraps. So like that's what I cut the pillar box out of, and ones that I've cut rectangles out of. So yeah, let's create something with these. I'm going to do a Christmas journal, so I thought this is a good idea to use the scraps. Now on the original one I just used a piece of sort of 120 GSM A4 paper, but I'm going to do these on card because although they're all right, I felt they were a tad flimsy in places, like at the bottom. In the centre where I've stuck other layers on, they're all right, but a bit flimsy. I thought paper would be enough, but it isn't. And like there where there's the join, it's a bit too bendy. So I'm going to do this on paper. Now, some people, so we're doing what we call a masterboard. I've got other videos on masterboards, but I've never done one with nice DSP like this. And sometimes you do it just ripping, but I quite like it when they're a straight line, but you can rip. So some of these that are like this, I would prefer to have them sort of cut. So I might use my little guillotine here to give myself some straight edges. I often, if I'm junk journaling, I'll just use a ruler and ruler rip the edges to get them. But I'm gonna use this. So it's quite nice to have different shapes, different sizes. It creates really nice sort of bit of interest. So I'm going to go through and cut these up to get myself a nice little stack, but I'll speed it up. So that's all the bits cut up. I've got like a pile of really tiny bits there that may or may not get used. I'm probably going to use the reverse side of these ones because they're a bit weird. I'm not sure that I want pink, so I might use that side. So I'm just going to, I can use either side of that. I quite like that. Love this paper. That was paper that retired last year, but you know, came back in the holiday catalogue. It wasn't going to be retired forever. Those are nice. So it's just those ones that I want to sort of turn over. That is left over from last year. That's a die that's retired. So I've kept that intact for now. Yeah, I can use either side of them. Either side of that. I'm not sure that I want blingy showing, but we will see. So that one needs turning over. Probably that one as well. Although I don't know if half a bauble showing would actually be quite nice. I think I'll probably use that side. So there we are. So what I usually do when putting together like a collage or masterboard like this is I'll start sort of from two corners coming in. So, and I don't think too much about it. I just sort of lay down. So I think we might start the two corners with something similar-ish, and we just glue them down in place. So I've got my Tombow, but I'm not going to use Tombow. I like to use Collage glue because it adds a bit of extra strength when it's dry, and it spreads when you put it down. It does spread a bit, and it doesn't dry immediately like Tombow does. I can use my spreader here to make sure, because you want it out to all the edges, and doing this with Tombow, it just gets a little bit sticky on your hands. So I'm putting that up. It doesn't matter if you overlap the edges a bit, because you can go back in and trim the edges up. And what I usually find using an A4 sheet like this is I get 6 tags, 2 that are 2 inches wide, and then 4 that are bigger. That was add a little bit more there. So I'm getting full coverage on this. I like my little silicone spreaders. These are what hairdressers use, but they work well because when they're dry they just peel off. So suits me, who's not into clearing up, because the amount of times I'd found like a paintbrush discarded. So then just pick up some other bits, different sizes. Might go that side with that one. And yeah, you just sort of randomly lay them down. I say, not thinking too much about the colour, just putting them down, picking them out until it's all the space is filled. As they're straight edges, you can butt up, so that works really well. I've got a dried out baby wipe here, so if there's any oozing I can mop it up. And so we're just creating a collage, bit of a patchwork. I did the other one that I kept sharing over on my Instagram. I used the Stitchery stamp sets on them to make it look like it was really patchwork. Really liked that, and I will do that again, I think. So that's that. I'm just going to bring in this little spice jar for that. So I've done these in junk journaling, and what's nice is if you do it with let's bring in, might trim that down a bit. And that's something that I do as I'm going along, maybe trim things down. I don't know why I did that in several bits there. Yeah, that'd be nice. And then you've got a thin strip there, but I've got quite a lot of thin strips, so that will go in there. Okay, I might stick that one down first, actually. Yeah, so I like to use, so I get images that are in the public domain that are not under any copyright, and if I do one using those, then I can scan them and reuse them and sort of effectively create my own paper. But obviously this is Stampin' Up paper, so it's copyrighted and you can't do that. But this is probably stuff that some of these would potentially otherwise be thrown away, so I'm creating something out of rubbish, which is hence like the junk journaling sort of aspect is that's what we're doing, creating something out of rubbish or upcycling. I say last year I made myself a December daily, and for the first time I did a bit of December daily journaling. I didn't actually do it every single day. As December wore on, I did it every couple of days, but it was quite nice. So I'm doing a Christmas journal swap, so I don't know if any of these tags will end up in that. And it is a very relaxing process, and I quite enjoy doing this. I just watch YouTube videos, or I'm binge watching something on Disney Plus at the moment, The Resident, which I'm totally addicted to. It is now on season 2. I don't know how many seasons there are, but I will probably go into a little bit of mourning when it's over, because I do like it. Right, so I'm going to cut that in half. So yeah, I will carry on doing this until the whole thing is filled. And I've got some of our colour family stacks here, and I've got scraps in this as well, so I'm not going to introduce like pinks to it, but if there was some colours in here that were in scraps that I am using, then I might pull them out. So have I got any of these reds in scraps? I'm not putting purple in this one. So see what I've got to add to it. That one will do. That's not really a scrap, is it? That's half a sheet. So making me realise that I need to use these a bit more. Love these stacks. Love that. Yep. That is, I can see a little bit of a scrap there. There we go. So I shall incorporate them as well to sort of break up sometimes some of the patterns. I think they work really well with the sort of colours that are going on here. Don't want it to be too ordered. So we'll see how it all pans out. So that is the finished product. We're still nice and white on the other side. I've trimmed all the edges. I've got some scraps still left, so I can do another scrap project with those. So now I'm going to use stitchery. I've chosen to use this one so that it looks like I sewed it. Because my sewing's not necessarily great. I mean, it's fine for junk journals, but I think that one will look better around it than any of the other stitches. I quite like that one as well, but I'm going to go for this. I'm going to go for Evening Evergreen because there is quite a bit of Evening Evergreen around. I think stamped it will look okay with these ones, and then it will show up nicely on ones that haven't. I mean, when I sew in my junk journals, I tend to use quite a dark colour, so I think it will be fine. So I am gonna just stamp each of these strips. I'm not bothered if I go over, but I'm going to create like a patchwork quilt. Which I think is a really nice little touch. I really liked it in the sewing themed one. I think if I'm going to use this in a Christmas journal, it will look good. I quite like this one because I can turn it around and we've got different style of stitching. I'm not bothered if I'm not on the edge, because if I sewed it, it would be different probably each time I did it. And an awful lot of this is going to get covered up anyway, but it's just so that we can see different bits. There'll be different bits poking out. So that's it all finished, ready to go. So it kind of, I think the stitching sort of brings it together, makes it look like a scrapbook page. So now I'm going to cut up it into tags, because that's what I'm going to do. You could use it in cards. I could turn this into a one sheet wonder for cards, but I'm going to make tags out of it. So I'm going to do a 2-inch strip across here. This is generally what I do when I'm doing tags out of an A4 sheet. I cut that section at 2 inches, and then I cut it in half. So for UKA 4 size, that's 5 7/8. So I've then got 2 strips there for a tag, and I use one of our tag topper punches. I've got this one, and I'm just thinking I might make that the top. Those trees then are upside down, but I'm not sure that that matters. The grand scheme of things, there we go, because I'm going to cover up the centre bit and I want a bit of colour at the bottom. I'm going to do that way up for this one. So just feed it in. There we go. So that's those 2 tags. And then use up scraps, create scraps. So here I'm going to cut it in half. And then I'm going to cut this in half again. So it's just a 16th under 3. And the same for this one. And then I'm just going to make these tag top shapes. So I like that one. So just get my scissors. And cut that there. Cut that there. So nice tag shape going on. So I find this is quite a handy way of doing my tag shapes. I have them in different sizes depending on what I fancy with the project. I think that one probably better at the bottom. So I do that. Sometimes you do end up, as in this case, with very, very small strips. They're tiny. So we'll go this way. There we go. So that is, the tops are all sorted. Got these bits of triangles that I'm just going to get rid. So there we've got the basis of 6 tags, and I want the backs to have the same stitching. There's bits there where it's picked up some ink, but I'm not bothered about that. They're now very sturdy, so I'm going to stamp again with the Evening Evergreen. I'm going to give it a clean. It's got really, really dirty, so gonna go down the side. Gonna try and be a little bit more careful. Does look a little bit like how I would have sewn it. So I'm going to get these all finished. So they're all done, and now they're ready to decorate. Now if we look at the ones I did before, I kind of stuck to a similar idea. So each of them have got a doily, it's got a button strip, and then it's got something that's got like a image focus, and then some words. So I'm kind of going to go for a similar thing with these. So they're Christmas tags. So I've got my Christmas sets, which I can pick out images from. I'm probably not going to go penguin, I don't think. I'm not really feeling snowflakes. Poinsettias, yeah, right. So we're rejecting snowflakes. So we've got Christmas sort of gingerbread and baubles. I love these stars, and we've got Christmas trees, so I'm quite happy with those. There's a tree punch to go with that, so that could be quite good. I'm quite liking the idea of maybe put some poinsettias on here or some holly. That would be nice. Baubles nice. And I'm looking at this one with the die set, and I'm thinking instead of a doily, I might cut these stars. They might go nicely behind. So I'm going to get those die cut out. And I'm thinking if I do them sort of white, it gives you something on the background. If we look at these others, sort of like the white on the back worked really well to make the image pop. I mean, that one I used green. Those two I used green, but for the most part white. And then had, so like, I did like the stamp on it, which is quite a nice thing to then put the image on top, or a rectangle die cut. So I'm going to cut them in white and see how that works. So I cut out the stars, and I cut out this strip that was in the gingerbread die set, because I didn't want to use those buttons, because that was more for the sewing. So, and then I used the dies in here to cut out some of these elements from the DSP in the gingerbread and peppermint. So those are some ideas coming together. I am now going to put the sort of focal point. So then I've got these stamps, and I've picked out the same die that I used before that we can get these images in, and the poinsettia will be half and half. That was my thoughts. So let's get them stamped. So I'm choosing my ink. So I'm going with the colours that sort of feature, which is Evening Yellow Green, Soft Succulent Old Olive, Misty Moonlight, and Real Red. So that's what I'm going to stamp. I'm going to stamp them on Whisper White. So I need a sheet of that, and I need to clear a space to do it. So I have done all the stamping and the die cutting, and I kind of had a little fiddle and decided that actually I didn't want these bits. I felt they were a bit too much, so I've gone for like subtler sort of strips behind, and I think I'm happy with these. So I'm going to glue all this down, and then we'll look at some sort of sentiments to go on top of the tags. So I'm going to get these glued down. Okay, so that's that bit of the process done. So I've got my tags. So now they need some sentiments on them. So I've got my Christmas stamps, and I've got to decide what I might put. Now, if it's going to go into some sort of Christmas journal that's going to document Christmas, or a December daily, then I want things that might sort of prompt journaling or help memory. So in here we've got friendship and one of a kind, which I think I might split up. I think they're quite good. One of a kind be quite good to go with a photograph of somebody special, maybe. Friendship's good. Spend a lot of time with friends over Christmas. Magic and Wonder, I really like that as well. Happy holidays. Obviously Merry Christmas is really good. It's another happy holidays there. Merry and Bright is good for Christmas, Noel. Cheers, always a good one. Over here we've got Heartwarming Memories. I like that. To be fair, the whole lot. Hoping this season builds heartwarming memories. They would be quite good. Be cool, be chill, be merry. I like that. And then we've got Ho Ho Ho. North Pole Delivery is lovely. Wrapped in Love and Joy. I like that as well. Bit of Christmas cheer. So my idea is that if you look at what I did on the sewing one, if we pick one there, so that was a continuous sentiment, follow your heart, and I just cut the individual words out as I did there. So that's what I'm going to do, stamp them, cut the words out, map them on a colour that will go on top of the tag. So if I do one with you, I think let's do Wrapped in Love and Joy. Then I can show you what I mean. Okay, so I've mounted the stamp, and I actually think I've never stamped this stamp, and I've had this several years now. I got it when it first came out. It's just not something that I would normally use, but in a journal I think it would work really well. So now I've got to decide which one of these I want it on. So you put wrapped presents on in stockings, so maybe Wrapped in Love and Joy would be good, or you put presents under a tree. So that is what I'm thinking. So I think I might go for that one. So I'm going to put it in that one. So what I'm doing is, so some of these scraps that I've created, we're going to use that. So I'm going to go for Misty Moonlight as the colour that I'm going to use. I only need the correct sentiment. Oh dear, hadn't used that one either. There we go. So I only want the bottom bit, so I don't need to stamp it all. There we go. So I'm actually going to stamp it on that centre bit. There we go. And then I'm going to cut each word out individually, and then we'll have it coming around there. So the best way I find to cut the words out is to use a long pair of scissors, because you can kind of do one sort of straight cut. Cutting these then just straight up. I quite like them slanted, but it's not big enough. And then going back in, because sometimes when you're just isolating a little bit, you do get a little bit of other words on the stamp. So there, I'm just cutting them round, be the right size, thinking, yeah, I'm going to put them down the side. So now I'm going to mat them onto scraps of Misty Moonlight so that they stand out. So because they're tiny bits, kind of holding them with my tweezers there to help, and then using my fine tip glue bottle there that's got Tombow in it. I'd have put too much on there, so took some off from the other. And I find I like to line them up against a straight edge, and then that's one edge that you don't have to cut. Just makes it a bit easier. Don't have one for that one, so just putting that there in the middle. And then again, using my big scissors, I can cut around. So I'm just going to get them cut out as best I can, and then I'll go back in to neaten them up. So just want a tiny little border. Not really going for perfection here. It's it's a patchwork background, so it can be a little bit not precise. I quite like that look. Not even necessarily going to stick them down straight either. So there I am, just sort of thinking about where it would look good next to that stocking, and then giving them a little bit of a fiddle, see how the different variations look. Don't like that. Let's have another little change. Do I like it down there? No. Yeah, that's probably going to be it. So again, using my tweezers to help me to stick them down, because they're quite small. But I'm getting quite sticky now. That's one of the things I find with Tombow glue. You do get a little bit sticky on your fingers. A little bit of hand sanitizer sort of helps. Yeah, I'm still fiddling as to where I want these things to go. So yeah, going in now with that one, and that's it. So that is how we're gonna do all the sentiments on the tags. So I'll get the others done, but you don't have to watch me in real time, so I'll get them speeded up and get the others finished. So that's them all done, and I'm quite pleased with how they turned out. I think they'll look lovely in a Christmas journal. So we just need the ribbons to go in the top of the tag. So these two have a hole in. So these, you have choice of putting a hole in. There's other ways of attaching tops. So on these ones, I stapled some ribbon and then added a little button die there to cover up where the staples were. You could use a pull tab. I do have this wonderful retired Stampin' Up punch, so they could go to the top. I often put in eyelets as well, and I use my crocodile to help me do that. So I'm gonna do two different styles with you, and then I'll do the rest speeded up. So this one's already got a hole. That's quite easy. I'm going to pick some red ribbon, real red ribbon, to go in this. I don't have old olive, which would have been another choice. So I'm just going to pull that through the hole. I'm not going to put eyelets in it. I'm going to take my sharp scissors here, do that. I'm going to take a little glue dot to hold it in place. On there. I've put the glue dot on the wrong place. I want it slightly offset so that it goes up that way. And I'm going to put a little glue dot on the back. And have that. Oh, that one glue dot actually appears to it half stuck. There we go. So that's holding them in place, and then I'm going to take a little bit of white baker's twine. Could use white ribbon. And I'm going to feed this up through. I just find it easier to start the knot off before they go in. She says, and then fluffs it. There we go. Oh, just heard it's bonfire night as I'm filming this, and so I just heard a little pop of firework. There we go. They've been going off for weeks, actually. I do feel sorry for those with animals. There we go. Didn't need to do that one quite so long. There we go. So that is that one. And then this one, I need to do my hole. So eyeball in the middle there for my hole. And I'm going to do, I think I might do this sheer ribbon, just so it's a little bit different. And I'm going to do it with white ribbon and not baker's twine. So I'm going to use our white crinkle seam binding ribbon. And that's that one. So that's the two different ways, having a bit of baker's twine or actual ribbon for the top. So I'm going to continue to do the others like that. I've got some retired cinnamon cider, word escaped me, which I'm going to use because I think that'll work nicely on that. I don't have Misty Moonlight, so I'm probably going to go with red for that one. I think that one deserves red. And then this one, I think I might use Evening Evergreen and Soft Succulent. So I'm going to get them done. And so there we have it, all of the tags finished. And so that's what I created with a bunch of scraps that some people may have thrown in the bin. And of course you could have used it to make card mats and created some cards. You didn't have to, you know, do what I did and create tags. And you could have created smaller tags and they could have been for Christmas presents, but I say these are going to be for a Christmas journal. So I hope that's given you some ideas for using up your scraps. Certainly the idea of making like a patchwork piece of DSP, I think is, you know, nice basis for cards. If you're into cards, if you're into journaling, then all those little scraps left over from like DigiKits, if you use DigiKits to make your journals, or you know, any other papers, any scrapbook papers that's left over, and then you've got the basis for some nice tags or journaling cards to use in another journal. So yeah, hope you like that. I will put all the details of everything that I've used down below and over on my blog, and I'll link to my blog, and I shall also link to the original blog hop so you can see what other things people have created with DSP. Okay, thanks for joining me. See you again soon.